Hello again. Right, I've been sent a pair of Celestion Ditton 11s. Seem to be getting a lot of Celestion speakers recently from the Ditton range. I know of this speaker. I've seen quite a few of them advertised on eBay, and yeah, it's a bit of an odd one for me. So we've got a pretty big 8-inch woofer, a HF 1300 tweeter, and an ABR, an auxiliary bass radiator. So yeah, quite an interesting speaker, two-way design. Rather than a port, we've got the bass radiator. That's a big woofer, and this is going to be asked to do mid-range as well. And to me, that cone's got quite a bit of mass to it, so how good it is in the mid-range I don't know. But this tweeter plays quite low. It doesn't play up very high, I don't think. I think they've got a reputation of rolling off quite heavily at 13k hertz, maybe 16k hertz, but I think they play fairly low. They've got a big diaphragm and quite a big chamber behind, so whilst they're a tweeter, they're sort of play into the mid-range a bit, really, so as well. So that's obviously going to really help this woofer out. So yeah, the client has sent these to me. They're in really bad shape. From the front, they don't look too bad, the sides, but the back is full of chips, and the top. They have some sentimental value, so they've asked me to get them working as best I can and to improve on them if I can. So it's definitely going to be a crossover upgrade, maybe a bit of tweaking. I've shot some frequency responses and there's some lumps and bumps in it. And I think the woofer's rolled off very gently, so we won't be surprised if we see just a first order filter on the woofer, maybe just an inductor, and the tweeter, I can see where that's coming in, so we'll see what we've got on that as well. But when I'm throwing signal sweeps at it, I'm hearing some graunching. I don't know whether that's the woofer, the radiator, or just something vibrating, and on the waterfall I can see a bit of stored energy down the bottom. Looking at the frequency response, that I think is tuned to about 50 hertz. I can see a bit of a rise there, and we can see where the woofer's rolling off as well, and they don't sum brilliantly, but certainly this is boosting the bottom end. So yeah, another speaker to completely refurbish. I'll probably end up vinyl wrapping these, I think, because we're going to have to do quite an extensive filler job around the back. We'll spray the front baffle, or I may felt cover it, I don't know. The grills, same with the 44s I've just repaired. They're chipboard, they've just broken to pieces because literally the slithers of chipboard at the sides are teeny. There's no strength to them at all. It's pretty crap, really. So yeah, let's see what we can do with them. So we'll take them apart and have a look inside. But yeah, these are going to be hopefully quite an interesting upgrade. Okay, we'll tear this down and see what's going on inside, and have a look at the cabinet close up and what we need to do with it. Like I say, the client's asked me to kind of really transform these, so get the cabinets looking really good again. You know, we won't re-veneer them. We'll fill all the chips and knocks and bits and pieces and vinyl wrap them, I would have thought. We need to clean up the woofer again with the grill. Let me find that. It's broken away. I mean, you can see how thin these edges are, and to make it out of chipboard, you're kind of asking for that to break. It's just not going to last. and the foam covering on the back is all degraded as well. So yeah, new grille frames, new cloth, badge is still alright. Yeah, but we can rebuild those. Might even wrap them in gloss black. We'll see. So yeah, we've got an 8-inch mid woofer, very big to do a mid-range, quite a heavy driver that is. And then we've got the HF 1300 tweeter, which you know, can play fairly low. Big diaphragm inside that, so doesn't play up particularly high, I don't think. So we'll take a look inside. Right, let's take a look inside. Let's take the base radiator out first. So it looks like we've got inserts in the chipboard. Okay, so there is the ABR. So it's a big chunk of polystyrene, quite thick, as you can see, or foam, with suspension on the back, which needs a bit of a clean up, and also on the front. Okay, so we'll clean that up. I'll probably wave the spray can at it as well, get it looking nice and tidy. Right, let's take the woofer out. So same screws, so yeah, inserts inside. Okay, so this is the woofer. So what I'll do, I'll just clip these cables off for now, keeping the yellow and the black on there. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, looks to be in good condition. So paper cone, moves nice and freely, minimal corrosion on there. Aluminium basket, bit of ring in there, so maybe we'll wrap these in some sound deadening to remove that, because that's not very good. But yeah, the cone's good, the suspension's good, needs a clean, no rubbing on the voice coil. Spider's in good condition. Okay, yeah, pretty good. Right, so now the tweeter, let's take that out. So 4 screws are holding this in. Looks like we've got inserts as well, although that's falling out by the feel of it. Yep. Right, okay, so here is our tweeter. So yeah, reasonable size. Big diaphragm in there for a tweeter. So like I say, I wouldn't expect it to play up particularly high. I don't think they did. 16 kilohertz, maybe 13. Maybe that's where the name comes from. But I think these play fairly low, so a good choice to couple with a larger woofer. But yeah, it looks good. Okay. Now this is pre-wired. There's no solder tags. So just inside the cabinet here is a connection between the cables from the crossover to the tweeter. So I'll clip these off here. And that's our tweeter out. Right, okay, so we've got quite a bit of foam in here. Pick up the inserts for the tweeter. They're going to come out. Right, okay, so foam, another piece of foam, big piece in the back, triangular big wedge shape. So yeah, interesting. And then up the other end we have another piece wrapping around, and then we have another piece around the crossover. So the crossover is fixed. There we go. Let's just lift you up a bit. So the crossover is fixed to the binding cup at the back. So I'll remove the binding cup and we can take a good look at this. So whilst I'm removing this, you can see the state of the back, how broken away this is. Again, chipboard with a thin veneer on there. Yeah, it's come open there. So I don't know, I may end up gluing a new piece of probably MDF to the back of this to square up the edges again, filling it and sanding it in. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of work to these, but they're a speaker I want to turn around quite quickly, because I've got quite a few in at the moment, so I do need to start getting through some of these. And it would also be nice to get on with some of my projects as well. You know, my Ditton 44s, I want to get on with those, get them done, and I don't know what I'm going to do with them when I've finished, whether I sell them, I don't know yet. Okay, so this is the crossover, and first glance, very pleased to see air core inductors. Good size one on the woofer, so we just have a first order crossover on the woofer, so 6 dB roll off, very shallow, so they are gently rolling that woofer into the mid or into the tweeter. And then on the tweeter circuit we have a really nasty capacitor made in January 1973, 3 years older than I am, and that's 12 microfarad. So that is playing reasonably low, and that's interesting. I know these caps well. I'm sure that's quite far out tolerance, which might explain the frequency response we got earlier. And then we have a really good air core inductor on the tweeter, a decent gauge of wire, so we've got a second order crossover on the tweeter, so 12 dB per octave. I'm not liking the amount of iron or steel that's used here, and the way this is all mounted, so this will come off. We'll get this screwed into the cabinet, keep the inductor a decent distance away from this inductor. Yeah, so I think we're only in this, in terms of the crossover, for a 12 microfarad capacitor. So let's measure these. Right, okay, so I'm clipped onto the inductor for the woofer. The way they've mounted the positive to the woofer on this steel pole, it might be aluminium actually, yeah, definite improvements to be made here. Okay, let's see what we got on the inductor. So 1.17 millihenry and 1.1 ohms. So yeah, that's a reasonably low value. So that woofer's playing up fairly high as well. Yeah, let's say a 6 dB roll off. Okay, so let's have a look at the capacitor. So that should be 12 microfarad. Let's see what we get on that. 11.73, so that's not too bad actually. Normally those caps are pretty bad. Nearly half an ohm equivalent series resistance. So yeah, using a poly cap on that will be a bigger improvement, so that's what we do. We'll just measure this little inductor here as well, make sure we get in the right place. So down to ground and on its output, expecting quite a low value on this. 0.44 and 1 ohm. So yeah, so very happy with the two inductors, and this capacitor here we will order up a couple of really good polypropylene caps for that. Yeah, so okay, pretty good. Okay, so a quick look at the cabinet itself. Inside is absolutely fine. Yeah, very good. Brace in there is glued in nicely. Chipboard baffle, chipboard rear baffle, plywood sides by the looks of it. Obviously we're veneered. Yeah, so really cabinet's pretty good, apart from all the repairs we need to do. But we're going to refurbish this, fix the crossover probably in the base, separate it all nicely. Yeah, turn these into something. Okay, thanks for watching. Part 2 will be probably the cabinet. We only need one part for the crossover, so yeah, it's not going to take too long to turn these around. So yeah, catch you on the next one.